o te paiula, walau iula, e mamai le tawai, inai ono fulu, e whapena, lo wha me melo I lau anganu. Honorable judges, la fionga fortino moi moana safato shwenki. My sisters of the crown, Samoa Litara Ieremia Allan, those who hail from the lands of Guadalcanal lands, and my beloved Pacifica Wansawara. I celebrate through the traditional Samoan chant today, which means just as the tawai bird is cloaked in the glory of its feathers, so too shall I stand in the full magnificence of my anganuu and my culture. This is the essence of my topic today. One only has to look around this room to see the richness and diversity of our Pacifica culture. Seeing the participation of Melanesian, Polynesian, and Micronesian contestants and teams this year has made me hopeful, and it is in this room, on this platform, through our stories, I wish to concentrate my reflections on culture, to what it means in the context of the Miss Pacific Islands pageant. In 1987, Whanaafi Aiono Litangaloa and other Pacific women leaders established a cultural platform, now known as the Miss Pacific Islands. This pageant celebrated Pacific beauty, Pacific intelligence, and Pacific leadership, centering it on the thought that our women are the weavers, handicraft producers, nurturers, and fierce guardians of our dialects and customs. And today, I would like to touch on 3 points I believe will aid us in the preserving, promoting, and protecting of our Pacific cultures. Firstly, language serves as a medium for communicating and transferring cultural values and beliefs. When I sing the lyrics my ancestors once sung, when I retell the stories of old in my mother tongue to young ones, I feel, I hear, and I know the essence of my culture in every word. Efforts of Kanaka Maoli in Hawaii, Tangata Whenua and Aotearoa, in the areas of language revitalization with Pū, Nana Leo, and Kura Kaupapa are prime examples of this in practice. Within my own Samoan context, primary schools such as Samoa Primary now only teach in Ngangana Samoa, our Samoan language, in years 1 to 3 to increase their proficiency in younger ages. Secondly, cultural knowledge must be stored and safeguarded for future generations. Cultural festivities and events like the Miss Pacific Islands pageant, the Heilala pageant, the festivals of the Hibiscus Festival, the Te Wila Festival, Te Matatini, and the Melanesian Arts and Cultural Festival etch our languages and cultures into the regional consciousness of our blue continent. Mentorship and apprenticeship programs offer opportunities for the transfer of cultural knowledge, pairing our youth with elders and practitioners to directly learn skills, crafts, and stories like the Anofale program I took part in last year based in Samoa, where we spent 2 months dedicated to learn from influential women leaders on cultural customs. Art and literature, museums and galleries act as cultural archives while promoting creativity and excellence. And in the process of creating, we become archives ourselves. For example, our visit yesterday to the Solomon Islands National Museum, we learned all about the diversity of Solomon Islands cultures. Lastly, culture must be applied. In simple terms, it must be lived out. According to the Pacific Region's Cultural Strategy 2022 to 2032, culture is the lifeblood of our communities. It is a key catalyst for the development of our island nations. So to end my presentation today, I would like to say whakatei tele lava, alo whaalwalo tele lava.
Time is Samoa, very much. That presentation very much brought your experience and your culture, very much alive culture. I see in your profile, you are a graduate with a Bachelor of Arts in Pacific Studies. And that reflected in the presentation that you presented this morning, so malola. My question is, how can culture affect our youth? How can culture affect our youth?
Thank you very much for the question. It's a question that is always in the front of my mind as an educator. And I truly believe that in this day and age, one of the greatest, threats to the preservation of our culture is globalization. And often with the theme of globalization comes the want of our youth to be something other than who they are. A want to be part of a culture that may not best suit their families, and it may not directly align with their context that they live in. One thing that I've really enjoyed about being the Samoa is that I've had the chance to see culture in practice with the youth. And a thought that comes to mind when I think about this as a solution is that we have to remind them of the why we practice our culture. Our youth won't just do something because you tell them. They'll roll their eyes. They'll be like, ugh, I just want to go on TikTok. But if we show them the why of their doing it, everything flows from there. A key point that I'd love to touch on in my own Samoan culture, a solution to gender-based violence would be with the theme of a covenant relationship that we understand in Samoa as whiangainga. If we remind our children of the why our brother and sister relationship is so important to our young ones, imagine if that we reinforced it in our youth programs, in our church programs, in our teaching in schools. I wonder if our gender-based violence stats would decrease. I think often we think of looking outside of our blue continent for answers, but we often have our answers in our own cultures.
Thank you, Ms. Moore, for your response. You are contesting to become Miss Pacific and realizing the loss of tradition throughout the Pacific. It's alarming. If you become a Miss Pacific, where and what would be your priority areas to address the loss of tradition in the island communities of the Pacific?
Thank you very much for the question. Some of the research that I put into preparing for this topic was looking at the Pacific Regional Framework, I believe, for culture, set for 2022 to 2032. And one of the issues that they highlighted was that the areas of lack in the area of cultural preservation was funding. A lot of the cultural initiatives that start are often funded personally or privately. And so one thing that I would love to advocate for, if I was to be crowned Miss Pacific Islands, is to work with policymakers, work with NGOs, not only our private sector that often fund these things, but our public sector as well, to ensure that these programs that are already being done get the money to support and reinforce those things. Again, I'd like to reinforce that idea, and we have a proverb in Samoa that goes, "If a fole alamea in alamea." It means that when you are spiked by a alamea kind of fish or a starfish, you must turn it over and it will suck the poison out of your foot. So the antidote for the alamea problem is the alamea itself, meaning that our solutions to our own problems are within our own communities. Ka whātai.